we're running out of time. I usually do an hour. I don't know how much time you have. I kind of want to just run down some of the more interesting races in your career. Maybe you can run me back a little flashback.
Okay.
Because I
Yep.
feel like that sparks the most interest when you tell me, oh, there was a close finish line sprint or whatever it was. So the first one I have is your 2000, was it, oh man, I forgot the date. In Roth, Germany, was it 2002?
I had a sprint with 2003, I think, and it
2003?
was second ever Ironman I ever did against Lothar later. Lothar was the first man to ever break 8 hours for the Ironman. He was a monster in Ironman racing. I was new to the sport, and that was the first defeat I had in years. But yeah, he beat me in a sprint finish. The whole day I thought I had it won because I was naturally faster than he was. So I thought because he had the experience, I just follow him all day. And I swam in front of him. He caught me on the bike. We rode together, and we literally ran every step of the marathon side by side.
Wow.
And Roth is amazing race. There's almost 1 million spectators, and the last 3 or 4 kilometers, you're 5 people deep of Germans going bananas.
Was that the changing factor, the home crowd and the Germans cheering him on?
I think a bit of experience and probably my inexperience. I was that confident that I had it won. I was just going to out sprint him the whole way. I just thought, no, mate, you got to try and get rid of me. My whole focus was, I'm faster than you. So at the end of the race, I'm going to out sprint you. So your job is to get rid of me. And he kept trying to get rid of me, and he couldn't. So I was building confidence off that, not realizing that he had a dynamite sprint as well. And sprinting at the end of an Ironman has nothing to do with speed, but it's everything to do with strength, right? So I hadn't learned that lesson until that day.
Mental strength, you mean, or physical strength? Mental strength.
Physical strength. Your legs, your body, so you can't drive your legs up. Your natural spring action is to drive, but your whole hip flexors are cramped. Everything's gone. So I was very new. It was only my second Ironman, so I had never been in that position before. And when we made a move about 400 meters out, he positioned himself on the inside, got the inside run around one of the corners, which was a little gap, and that gap just stayed 2 body lengths for 400 meters. We sprinted, which probably wasn't a sprint at the end of an Ironman, but
it felt like one.
It felt like one, and 50,000 people were going bananas. I remember crossing the line, and it was deafening. We both collapsed at the end of the finish, and I was on the ground. It just did not stop. I remember looking up. I didn't realize how big the crowd was until you sort of sit up in the stadium and you look down the rail. Like, my God, this is massive. And then he helped me up and was like, mate, welcome to Roth. And that was a race I ended up coming back every year because I won it 5 times after that. But that race I was happy to lose that one because he was the king of Roth.
Yeah.
His 4th win, and I ultimately went on and beat him the following year, and we built this. We created this amazing rivalry within this event.
Maybe it was better that you lost because then that pushed you.
It was 100% was. Yeah, it was 100% better.
For people who haven't seen the footage, it's unreal. You posted on your channel. It looks like something out of a movie, like a Rocky movie or something.
Yeah, amazing.
Another one that I want to discuss was Hawaii. Your biggest, toughest challenge, probably Hawaii, right? What made that island so difficult to race on?
I'm naturally a bigger guy, so most Ironman athletes at the elite level, professional level, are really light. There's just deficiencies with heat, and that's where Lionel Sanders struggles a lot in the way. He got second there, never won it. For me, I was all in, all out. I didn't want to come 6th or 5th or 4th. Now that I didn't want to build a career on 5ths and 4ths and 6ths. So people say, "Oh, you failed so many times in Hawaii." I'm like, yeah, I got 5th and 7th and 6th, which people have a career on. But for me, it was win or nothing. That was like it.
Once you have high standards, that's what you're accustomed to.
Yeah, and I struggled. I got second there. I got 4th there. And there was a point there where I didn't think I could win it. My best ever race was the year I got second in 2006, I think. I got beaten by 70 seconds in a war with a guy called Norman Stadler who had run the race twice before. We had a very strong rivalry, and he beat me this year, and probably the best race I ever executed there. Second best, the best was 2010, but
2007 is when you won, though, no?
2007 I won.
2006 when you lost was better than the 2007 when you won?
Well, 2006 I won easily. It was I couldn't believe it.
2007.
2007 I won easily. But as a performance, 2007 I was never challenged at all. I was in the comfort mode. Yeah, not at all. I was happy to win.
Right.
I was challenged a little bit on the bike. I set a blistering pace on the marathon, broke everybody, had a 7 or 8 minute lead, and was able to jog the last 5 kilometers and celebrate, right? But 2006, I was in that race to the last step. I ended up in the medical tent with 2 liters of IV in me.
Wow.
I'd never pushed myself that hard. And I was so satisfied with the result because I couldn't have gone any harder. I was beaten by a better guy. That was my best performance. And I was beaten by a guy who, it was a changing of the times. He came out with a swimsuit at the time that ultimately became the standard of swimsuits, the new long sleeve, long arm Speedo. Back in the day, we used to wear Speedos and tuck our singlets into the Speedos, right?
Yeah. Or you would change in the tent.
We changed in the tent.
This footage had, like, they didn't even give you privacy. The German footage.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
It's privacy.
Exactly. And that's what he came out, and he used to swim a few minutes behind us, and he got out that year with us because of the new technology and won the race. So it's to be part of that whole evolution that he brought to the racing, and then to have a great race, finish second, and then to have the career after it. I find that event in a way very satisfying, because I was never supposed to be successful there, because I sweat so much. I'm big. I have problems with heat dispersion. I won every other Ironman I ever did in the world, like 18 of them, 19 of them, but I struggled in Kona because of that heat.
In 2010, something that really stood out to me, that it's a really interesting thing. You said that, I forgot the name, Rellert? Is that his name?
And Andreas Rellert.
You went to the last kilometer, couple kilometers, and you realized that he needed water and Coke or whatever, and you went in front of him to take the drinks before him, and then he would kind of lose his rhythm, struggle to find the next one, and then you took off.
Yeah. Well, when I was naturally in front. What do you do in an aid station, which is a natural play, because you usually only have 3 or 4 volunteers, and usually a group of athletes hit an aid station. There's 6 or 7 of us, so it's first in, best dressed, right? So when I heard him screaming for Coke and water, I was already in front of him, and I wasn't going to go through that aid station because we were literally a mile from home to win the World Championships, and we just had this war, and I was trying to feel each other out, and I was more shocked that he was going after fluids this close to the finish line. I'm like, mate, you go for fun. And then one part of my brain said, well, if he wants them, he needs them more than me. So I just went straight over and I grabbed them, started tipping the water on my head to cool off, right? And then I could hear him yelling for water. And then I just, voice in my head went, boom, go. So as he was looking for water, I hit the gas.
Did he lose a little bit of rhythm and then you kind of took off?
Yeah, well, you naturally do. You're looking, when you're running and you're focused ahead, you got your rhythm and everything. Yeah. When you're looking for water, hands that are holding cups, you're like, hey, you're naturally out of rhythm. So it's a perfect time you see in any marathon at the Olympics or anything, most attacks happen around those water stations, aid stations. It's when people are naturally out of their rhythm. So it's a tactical move. And I used it to win that race in 2010 and broke his spirit so close to home.
Well, at that time, was that something anyone would have thought? This is my question, I guess. Or is that something that was kind of, there's levels to this game kind of moment and you just figured it out? Or was that normal to have people do that kind of stuff?
No, I think it was a game time moment. I think you're looking. Yeah. When you're at that point of a race, I always tell about an Ironman, you're so physically and mentally stripped. You're so raw, mate. There's no more lying to yourself. That's what the beauty about an Ironman is when you're suffering. Can I just pause?
No worries.
Sorry, it's my food drop off for the day in hotel quarantine.
No worries. I was asking, that moment when you figured that out, was that a normal thing that you think anyone would have figured out, or is this something that kind of, where we talk levels to this game moment?
No, it's top level. Without question, it's a strategic game, and a lot of people, and amateurs in particular, don't realise the strategy around. They think an Ironman is just complete the distances. Yeah. But at a racing level, it's about being reactive. It's not as if I lose a race in an Ironman by over 8 hours pulling away like 1 second every hour and I win by, you win a race in a moment. Most of the time in an Ironman, you feel comfortable, but it's only these storms that come, and storms of pain and agony that come, and how you react in that moment that ultimately loses you a race, whether that happens on the bike or in the run. And so as an athlete, you try and take on board that when you feel good, you push. And when you're struggling or these storms come and you're dealing with emotions and pain and everything, then you sort of shell up and fight that storm as it's happening, and that'll go away, and then you push again. But at the end of a race, you are so emotionally and physically stripped. There's nothing left to give. You're just 100% agony. You fear. Right. It hurts to run, hurts to breathe. It's hot. You're burnt. Your skin's burnt.
Right.
You're just over it, and all as you have is your sanity to some degree. So when you're looking for weaknesses in your competitors, because that emotional confidence that comes with them being weak and you not being weak at that moment is so empowering.
Yeah, gamesmanship, the purest.
Yeah, when he's calling for water, I'm like, he must be hurting. Right. So this positive emotion, he must be hurting. What does he need? Water. I don't need water. These are the conversations you're having with your head. And then suddenly when you sort of compute, he must be hurting. Go. Yeah, it's sort of that type. It's sort of that type of opportunity. You're an opportunity. You see an opportunity and you seize it.
Right.
And when you commit, as I said, when I committed to that goal, it was like, all right, this is it. I'm all in. There's don't second guess back. Yeah. If he catches you, it's over. But I remember saying to myself, this is every single track session you've ever done. This is every time Dad drove you to the athletics track as a kid. This is every day you've been away from your kids. This is everything. I don't care if you rip your kidneys out to win this thing. Do not look back and just suck up the pain. It's only going to be 10 minutes and go.
You don't want to have a regret either. That's another thing you can't.
You want no regrets. You just want to commit, be all in. Make sure it's if it's UFC, make sure it's a knockout punch, not make sure you put him down.